There's the question of what would happen if they fought someone with a lower mana core. It wouldn't make sense to go easier against a weaker opponent or to bully them. In such a situation, where the only option is to fight, one should never take an opponent lightly and prioritize careful maneuvers. With the talking all finished, Arthur is hoping his students are prepared to repeat the exercise from the other day. After class, our boy ended up falling asleep from exhaustion. He was only woken up with Gideon's letter, who had prepared a new version of Toby for him to beat. Arthur apologizes for being late to Professor Glory's class and explains that he'll get ready soon. Surprisingly, she shoves him away, arguing that it's less important for him to be here when he's still recovering. She tells him to spectate for now. Arthur's glad that he doesn't have to meaninglessly fight Lucas now. In the stands, Sylvie bounces away to find the beautiful Tessia. The elf is startled and excited to greet the little one, while shooting Arthur a sharp glare. The boy sits next to her, and after a moment of silence tries to talk. Tessia stops him immediately, arguing that there's no point for him to clear up as she also got ahead of herself. Feeling guilty, she apologizes, but Arthur believes that she said truthful things in the end. He messed up one way or another, always knowing that she felt this way. Even for a talent such as Arthur, emotions are complicated and can't be trained. The elf seconds his words, and points out how she lost control too, saying things she shouldn't have. Arthur thinks she's better of the two, while he was just avoiding her all along. Being mature, he turns to face his actions and apologizes, before rejecting Tessia to her face. You can just see her heart breaking as she hears those words. Turning away, Tessia feels disappointed, before Arthur leaves her with a semblance of hope. He doesn't want a relationship, but that's only the case for now. He's willing to entertain the idea once they're older, but his heart gets shattered when Tessia claims that she won't be waiting for him. Arthur clarifies things, understanding her popularity, but still feeling unready for the time being. Hearing that, she laughs in his face, glad that he's aware of her options. Waiting a bit, she pokes his face with her finger, asking if she can trust him. She doesn't want him to just go around dating other girls while confessing this stuff to her face. Arthur guarantees that it's never going to happen, so she's okay with their current relationship status. Getting up, he admits that he doesn't want her to wait. But to make up for some of the time lost, our boy gives her a peck on the head. Don't be smiling like that, little bro. This ain't gonna be you. Well, after that, our boy entered a phase of blankness everywhere he went. Bro turned into a statue with one fucking kiss. He's so embarrassed even after one kiss. More than that, Arthur is curious why the current lectures are redundantly covering older classes. One student points out his confusion, arguing how gravity, lightning, and other deviant elements all exist in nature. So it begs the question why mana isn't naturally produced unlike the basic elements. It's a really good question, and the teacher is happy to address that. It's something that has bothered mages for decades, but with no plausible explanation. Some believe that certain conditions must be met before deviant elements spring forth into existence. Mana means nothing to them. One of the exceptions is fire, which can't occur naturally without a previous cause. That's also the reason why mages consider fire to be the highest form of basic magic, specifically because it follows deviant magic closely. Arthur finally comprehends why this class is falling behind in lectures. But even more, he wonders how Tess is holding up after what happened. Speaking of the elf, the girl is fuming with happiness and embarrassment that he made a move on her. Despite being the forehead, it was still something. She's so happy that she's out here checking herself out. Not only that, this bitch is already wondering how their kids are going to turn out. And of course, to have kids, they must undergo the sacred ritual of the birds and the bees, which only makes her even more embarrassed. On a different note, a bunch of clowns are spraying graffiti to inspire hate against elves and dwarves. Arthur catches them and scares them shitless. One of them naively attacks him, only to get swept with a single kick. She faceplants to the ground, while insulting him for hitting a girl. And get this, my man goes, "I believe in gender equality." That's fucking gold. He demonstrates the point by charging up a strong wind spell, and politely asks if she's willing to fuck around and find out. The other kid is caught by another patrol member. Unfortunately, they couldn't find any symbols on either of their backs. He leaves Arthur on his own and takes the two to the admin office. Their patrol duty is making poor Sylvie hungry, tired, and sleepy. Arthur tells her that they're almost finished. He goes near Kai's route, wondering if now would be a good time to head back. Suddenly, Sylvie senses mana while Arthur quickly grabs her and hides behind a pillar. This guy definitely has the symbols on his back, as Arthur can see from afar. He's leaking mana, and the water under his feet is evidence of that. Arthur stops following him and simply observes from afar. He wants to use this guy as a lead to get to their hideout. As he's secretly observing, one idiot calls out for Arthur's name, completely blowing his chances of tracking the guy. They're nowhere to be found while our boy lashes out at the stupid fool who ruined everything. Kai makes a big deal and is more concerned about his territory than anything. He looks around for Theo, who also isn't around. Arthur explains that he's taking some students to the office right now. which also means there's no one left in Theo and Arthur's area to patrol. Suddenly, their blades glow a beam of yellow, symbolizing that Theo triggered the dagger. Kai instructs Arthur to go see what's up with Theo, while he'll track down the guy who escaped. While leaving, our boy tells him about the guy's appearance. And then we catch a sinister look from Kai, implying that this guy is definitely suspicious and probably ruined Arthur's hunt on purpose. The two of them bolt right towards Theo and the others. Arthur learns that someone bashed his damn head with a bat, but he could feel that the attack was way too strong. He was ambushed right when he took the kids to the admin building. It won't be tough to find the kids since they're students. Arthur wonders if there was a third among them who tried helping, but it doesn't make any reasonable sense for Theodore to get knocked out with a single attack. Then Arthur lays out the possibility that someone like Marquois could have attacked. Unfortunately, Theodore was unable to catch a visual of this person before fainting. Arthur recalls Kai sharing an injury on his arm. More importantly, Theo is dying to know where Arthur went. He doesn't have any clear evidence for the guy he was tailing, so Arthur decides to keep it down. The rest of the committee looked confused. They think he's just compensating for Kai's part, who's stronger and more dependable than he looks. The following day, Arthur reflects that they were unsuccessful in finding any leads from both fronts. He's still bothered by his intrusive greeting. Dude is overthinking and making a mess out of his project. Gideon startles him and feels underwhelmed that Arthur couldn't come up with another revolutionary idea. His friend notices that Arthur is spacing out and worried about something. He tells her that it's regarding the committee and all. He was so focused the entire morning that he spaced out in both his first classes. Bumping his shoulder, the nerd girl reveals the light-producing artifacts she got for him. Bro's face is beaming with joy while Sylvie realizes that this man is just cheating. In Professor Glory's class, the students are hard at work battling each other. Arthur observes all of this going down from the sides, and still can't fathom how Lucas received nothing more than a suspension from the previous incident. Sylvie is bored that Tessia isn't around, but they're going to meet her soon in the training room tonight. Sylvie is glad they won't have to do patrolling again since she despises it with her life. Drawing near the boy, Professor Glory sits down in exhaustion. She explains how the council has decided to ban excursions in the safe dungeons she likes to venture with her students. Arthur's curious about the trip, but Glory thinks they'll explore an even lower-level dungeon than usual. It's going to be way too easy for people like Arthur. Later that day, Arthur and Tessia finished off their assimilation practice for the day. Now exhausted, the boy recommended they enjoy the pool for a bit. Both sit together seeing the defeated Toby artifacts. Arthur checks on the elf's health and if she's been rejected by the beast will so far. Thankfully, nothing of the sort has happened lately, which is great for them. Arthur instructs her to inform the director, or even him if something goes wrong since her grandpa is away for a while. Tessia stretches her body and claims that she'll be all right. In the best-case scenario, Arthur thinks her assimilation should complete within a few weeks' time. In the luckiest case, they could get her core to a high level. That is until the dude gets his face splashed with water, this cheeky elf. In response, Arthur does the same by splashing her face, apologizing for helping her cool off and all. They both play with each other until they're cooled off. At this delicate moment, their hands are nearing an embrace, which makes Tessia shy. The moment is interrupted by Director Goodsky, who appears completely battle-worn and fatigued. Tessia runs towards the director to check on her health, but Goodsky is standing on business and claims that she's all right and simply had a sparring session at the guild. Arthur is worried because he recalls that she was going to group up at the council. Goodsky claims that she was interested in making a small detour. Even Tessia is worried that the old woman is pushing herself beyond her limits at her tender age. Goodsky understands that they're both worried and agrees to be more careful next time. She wants to use Arthur's training room for their class lesson for the night. The boy doesn't mind since he's already finished the assimilation exercise for the day. He leaves with Goodsky under Tessia's care and internalizes that the director is definitely keeping something from them. At the same time, he thinks it's none of his business to spy on her. The next day, Arthur finds himself extremely fatigued during classes. Elijah is worried what the hell this guy was up to for the night. He returned to the dorm late too because of his social club activity. Elijah is proud to announce that he's interested in going to the chain casting research club. Why, you might ask? For the bitches. Arthur is turned off and wonders if this guy experienced a hell of a rejection in his previous life to be so thirsty and horny in this one. Glasses Boy rants about how this is the optimal age of discovery and relationships. His stupid little announcement is cut short with the professor insulting him for being more focused on love than his class. The scene is seriously funny as even our boy is laughing with the rest of the class. Poor Elijah sits down in embarrassment. The professor brings up the incident regarding the tragic classmate who passed away a few days ago, highlighting that he wants to teach the dangers of wielding the power of magic that many people take for granted. The best mages and medics are already figuring out what went wrong with Marquois and what concerns his passing. But one thing is for certain. He was using a type of magic way beyond the limitations of his body. The dangers of overexerting one's mana core are severe. It's like any other muscle in a human's body, causing extreme strain will end up with permanent injuries, and in rare cases prove to be fatal. One girl counters and argues how Marquois was still alive after experiencing the severe backlash. She can't figure out how he wasn't able to survive using mana elixirs. The professors agree that while her point stands, there are exceptions to the rule. He simply wants to warn his dear students of the dangers to be wary of. After all, external supports that could increase mana reserves are notorious for coming with side effects. Mana leakage is just one of the many effects. Arthur is listening attentively but internalizes that Marquois' deranged behavior is yet to be explained. Same goes for the curse markings on his back. Fast-forwarding to Arthur's own class, he greets them and decides to show them hints of the solution behind the exercise he tasked them with. The first person he calls is Lester, the ugly, arrogant brute who he humbled the first day. Lester is fearing for his life for being picked, while Arthur instructs his class to imagine a situation where he's facing a strong opponent. The augmenter in this case wouldn't risk getting close to Lester and instead focus on striking with a long-ranged spell. Using the molded piece of paper, Arthur expresses that he's prepared a spell. He then blows the paper off his hand, but it doesn't even reach Lester before dropping off. Next, Arthur wants to demonstrate the spell he showed as a solution last time. He wraps it up in a paper ball and uses a pipe to blow it, striking Lester's big-ass forehead. The class roars in laughter, but Arthur has demonstrated his hint pretty smoothly. Next up, he brings up the hint for conjurers, but that isn't revealed to us as the scene forwards to Lance Baron and Lance Alea. Alea was initially under the impression that their next mission was in Elenoir with Lance Aya, but apparently they were called early by Lance Veray for some reason. Baron explains that they have a pressing matter regarding the dungeon on the outskirts of the Beast Glades, a discovery that he personally made. Without delaying any further, the third Lance is finally introduced to us in the story. She takes her seat,